Hello guys, what's up? This is Mortaza and welcome to the next episode of my Solid Principles in C# series at a Coder's Journey. I hope you have already watched the previous video. If that's not the case, please do. In that video, we talked about the SRP, Single Responsibility Principle. We also implemented this principle in a simple console application. In this episode, we're going to talk about the next principle, open-close principle. We will, talk about the idea behind this principle, and then we'll move on and we'll implement this principle in a C# console application. As before, I have created a new project called Open Close Principle. This is a console application in this solution, and this is the program.cs where I haven't written any code, and of course I have this note.txt which we are going to take a look at. And in this file I have I want to explain the idea behind this open closed principle. Now let's get going. The open closed principle, or OCP, single responsibility principle, SRP, open closed principle, OCP, right? It states that classes should be open for extension but closed for modification. This is very important, right? So there are two parts to this definition. Classes should be open for extension but closed for modification. Now, what does that mean? Open to extension means that you should design your classes so that new functionality can be added as new requirements are generated. So open for extension means that your classes should have the capability to include new code, new pieces of code, in order for you to implement new functionalities, new requirements, right? Closed for modification means that once you have developed a class, you should never modify it except to correct bugs. So closed for modification means that in order to implement new functionalities, you shouldn't need to change the code that you have already written and tested, but you will write new code. So open close principle, or OCP in short, in a nutshell, means that in order to implement new functionalities, you should write new code, right? Not modify the code that you have already written. This is very important. Now, the two parts of the principle appear to be contradictory. However, if you correctly structure your classes and their dependencies, you can add functionality without editing existing source code. So as I told you, OCP says that to implement new functionalities, you shouldn't edit the source code that you have already have in your project, but you should write new code. So generally you achieve this OCP by referring to abstractions for dependencies. So we will talk about interfaces. We will use interfaces and abstract classes, not concrete classes, right? So here in this OCP, we will use a lot of abstractions like interfaces and abstract classes. Such interfaces can be fixed once developed, so the classes that depend upon them, that use them, can rely upon unchanging abstractions. So we will have some abstractions, we will not change them, right? And we will have different classes use those abstractions, and those abstractions will remain fixed, will remain unchanged. Functionality can be added by creating new classes that implement the interfaces. So with open close principle and with the help of interfaces and abstract classes, we will write new code in order to implement new functionalities. We will not touch the code that we have already written and tested. Applying the OCP to your projects limits the need to change source code once it has been written, tested, and debugged. This reduces the risk of introducing new bugs to existing code. So this means that when you don't have to change the code that you have already written, developed, tested, and debugged, if you don't have to change that, so the possibility of introducing new bugs into your existing code, of course, significantly, decreases, leading to more robust software. Another side effect of the use of interfaces for dependencies is reduced coupling and increased flexibility. So we all know that by using interfaces, we will have loosely coupled classes. We will, increase the flexibility of our software, and we can better manage our dependencies. These were all you needed to know about OCP, or open-close principle. Of course, if this is a little bit vague, don't worry. We will talk about how to implement this principle in C# with an example. I think then you will better understand the idea behind this principle. But I think for this principle you need to think about two very important things: open and closed. Open means that your classes should be open for extension, adding new code, right? But closed for modification, closed for modifying the code that you have already written. So if you design your system in a way that you don't need to, you're not forced to edit the code that you have written in order to implement new functionalities, that is a great thing. And to implement new functionalities, you need to write new code, not edit the code that you have already written and developed and debugged, right? So I'm gonna finish this video here. We're gonna talk about this principle in the next video. We're gonna see an example in C# and how we can implement this in the C# in Visual Studio. And I think when we implement this using an example, you will be able to better understand what this principle is all about. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to A Coder's Journey, please do. Make sure you subscribe. Click that notification bell so that you do not miss out on the upcoming videos. And also share this video with a friend if he or she is learning the solid principles. If you've got anything to say, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll catch you later in the next video where we will implement the open-close principle in a console application in C#. Until then, take care.